Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. It is us, Dragon's Greed Gaming. This is it. We've reached the end. It is episode 7 of our Tale of Four Gamers for Warhammer Fantasy 6th edition. Thank you so much for joining us. We had a bit of a delay here in the real world. Luckily, it's not going to affect our schedule as we release the episodes, but we did this a month ago. And after many hurdles, technical difficulties, and headache, we finally got it to all work, only to realize I didn't hit record at the end. So after a few F-bombs, we said we'll meet again, and here we are. So we're actually going to do it this time. So yeah, we've made it to month 6. I guess month 7, but 6 months of actual painting, episode 7, and everybody has some finished stuff to show off. So we'll start it off with Eric, who is joining us with his lovely vampire count. So a few new things that he added on and the group pictures. So tell us what we're looking at, buddy.
That month, what I was working on was the Vargeists. So they're kind of a bonus unit that got introduced in, I believe, 8th edition. So they're kind of like a mix between, or a like transition phase of like a vampire that's kind of gone feral. So this, I think they are considered a vampire unit. So one step the middle step before the Vargulf model. So these ones, I kind of kept the same kind of ghoul green look to them that I was doing. Would use the purple accents in the wings. So that kind of like tied everything together, but I really like the way the purple kind of like popped on them versus some of the other colors I used on the ghouls to kind of like make them different. I did complete the 1,000 points. So I have 1,000 points that are the Strigoi army list that's in the back of the 6th edition vampire book. So I have a picture of just showing that 1,000 points. And then I have the picture showing everything that I got painted during this challenge, which is a few extra units, a few extra characters, like so a couple extra an extra necromancer, some wraiths and banshees, just kind of some one-offs. And then I have a picture of my entire vampire counts army up to this point, which I think is about 2,500 points of for 8th edition, because it would include the Vargeists, and you'll see that I started to rank up the ghouls and stuff as they got instead of being the skirmishers that they were in 5th edition.
Cool. I like your setup here with the table too. It's like a good gaming space.
I definitely need to get that terrain painted. You know, that might be a challenge of its own. I got a stack of fantasy terrain that's just kind of been sitting there. But
yeah,
I'm very happy with how they turned out.
Other than when I worked in the stores, I really haven't painted terrain for myself. I don't have any place to like put it, you know. And there's so many different like ways to get terrain these days. Oh, I've done a few of those fucking houses. Yeah. I still have that fortified manor in the shrink wrap. Yeah, it's worth a pretty penny. But yeah, I haven't done much. There's so much stuff though for terrain these days, you know. Have you seen the newest stuff where it like pops open like a pop-up book?
Oh yeah, I just saw that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. There's some really cool stuff out there. Awesome. Yeah. Well, you've done it, Eric. Not that there was any doubt in anyone's mind after the first month, and this guy shows up with 100 skeletons painted. So pretty cool.
I mean, you gotta kind of make sacrifices on the skill level with some of these horde armies. You know, don't get too close.
Yeah.
But you can look at the vampires.
That's fair.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with how they turned out. We'll kind of see, you know, what happens next. You know, when the rules start coming out for the old world. They're gonna get their PDF rules, I think. But yeah, we'll kind of play it by ear and see, you know, what happens with this army at that time.
Okay. I just realized I set my timer to 40 hours, not 40 minutes, so I'm just kind of readjusting this. So we'll say it's 30 minutes now. I'm sure there's plenty of time. Well, you know what? Maybe we can try to play a game on Tabletop Simulator since you're in another state, because yeah, my urge for fantasy's been going up a lot lately. So been listening to a new podcast. So
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you I'm coming with my vampire counts and show up with my lizard men.
Oh God, PTSD. Triggered.
All the blowpipes. Just for you.
You know, I mean, I think the Chaos Army, at least with the how fast everything is, and with the heavy armored knights, like at least they might stand a chance. But like, there's certain armies that just you might as well just pack up before the game even begins, right? If you bring a giant to the game, just take it off the table. Don't even deploy it. Not even worth it. Yeah. Cool. Well done, sir. We'll keep our undead theme going here as we move into the desert lands of Nekahara. Sean, we got your stuff from last time, and then it looks like you posted some new stuff too. So tell us what we got going on here.
Yeah. So I spent the first portion of that stuff painting the tomb scorpions I got. So they had two variants. One's like sort of emerging from the sands, erupting out, and then there's one that's kind of just like the regular old tomb scorpion, which is all the feet are on the ground. You see the tail and everything.
That one was emerging from the ground. How?
Like that. It's just clawing their way out. I mean, this is pretty accurate, right? The standing ones where the tail and everything was sold out, so I got the two of the ones emerging from the ground. Pretty cool. I did two variations, one with like this desert sand colored carapace armor kind of thing, and then one where the plates are like black. And definitely the black I think came out like better. It pops more. And then you've got like these, I think they're supposed to be like old lich priests that are placed in the tomb scorpions, and they've got like these little gems and are chained up in these like sarcophagus. So pretty dope model actually. Yeah, I was surprised I found something so nice. Then
I think the rest of them. I think that's a call out to there's an old White Dwarf article that has a special character bone giant who has a lich priest entombed in his like torso. And I believe, I might be wrong. If I am wrong, listeners, just post it in the comments. But I believe when you take him, bone giants become, I think, core or special choices. But you can't have any other characters in the army. But it's all, I believe it's also the article where it added the optional rules for the different weapons for the bone giants. So you could have one with a sword and shield, so you've got a bone giant with a 1+ save, or you can have the guy with the bow that counts as like a bolt thrower. Yeah, damn. So there's, yeah, it was a wild list if you want to try something really different with Tomb Kings.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Your spells never get to go off anyway because they're all bound spells, right? So
yeah, there's my power 4 spell goes off.
Yeah, oh, I got 2 of them. Watch out.
Oh, you get 7 dice. I wonder how you're gonna stop this one.
Yeah. Oh, you saved 4 dice for the Casket of Souls. Why'd I even bring this fucking thing?
Yeah. Always felt good to do that, especially against dwarves. Oh, never cast anything.
Right. Yeah.
Or move, or have fun,
or play the game. Yeah,
yeah, it's all the good times with dwarves. Then I've got some pictures of just sort of what I had finished at that point. At that point, I didn't have any characters, so it was just bowmen, skeletons, the giant, and some scorpions. So it all came out really well together. I like the Cetra color scheme, I like the red, so that really pops. And then this last month I did get the characters. I posted some pictures near the bottom, and you can see one of them is a lich priest, pretty beefy, pretty big. He's got this giant like sand hand clawing up. I thought was really dope. And right next to him is an unpainted Tomb Prince model I ordered. That Tomb Prince is so fucking small.
What?
I put a dime next to him for context.
Am I missing the picture? Oh wait, hold on. There's more pictures. There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay, so he stands inside the sand hand. That's really cool.
Yeah.
What? That's a novelty Tomb Prince.
It's like it's supposed to be on like the 25mm base or something, but it must be like a War Master.
Did you get these from the same vendor?
No, Different
Oh.
vendors. I mean, the guy who made the
Well,
Lich Priest, yeah.
I myself have not ordered many models like from
Uh-huh.
Etsy, although I did just order some Chaos Spawn for our 40k Tale of Gamers.
Nice.
But I noticed after looking through, some vendors will actually sell the same model in different scales. So if you
Yeah.
don't pick the right scale, then yeah, you show up with Micro Machine Spawn or
Yeah.
giant sized models. You're like, what the why is this model $6 and another one is 40, right?
Right.
Yeah,
So-
especially when it comes to the Space Marine stuff, because they have like the Primaris scale and the
that makes sense.
the old
Yeah.
guy firstborn scale. So you gotta be careful what you're ordering.
I ordered the same size base as the skeletons because like I'm pretty sure I want to get the right size because they should be, and it must be like a War Master kind of thing he was selling instead of like Warhammer.
He's a baby skeleton.
Yeah. So I was like, well,
Two
I'm
Kings
not
didn't even
painting that.
exist for War Master though, so
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you.
So I spent most of the time painting the Lich Priest. So I went with like a green wash over the skin because I wanted to do this like decayed, dead skin. Because I think at this point in the lore, Lich Priests aren't actually like undead. They've just extended their life so long with the powers of like Nahakara and balms and shit. So then I like spent most of the time painting the sand hand, honestly. Instead of doing like regular strokes, I tried doing like stippling where you just kind of like pressing the brush in for like dots. And so that came out kind of pretty good, I think, in like the sandy look. So yeah, I might end up stripping the actual Lich Priest because I don't know if I'm happy with the way he came out and is looking, but so far that's the Tomb King's army. I'll just
Is he missing his left hand?
Yeah,
The Lich Priest?
the staff he's holding gets in the way, so I'm painting it separately.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That looks like that won't ever break once you glue it on.
I did glue it on, and it did break. It popped right off. So I was like, all right, we'll paint it separately if I get.
If you need some master pinning done, I'm your guy. I can pin anything.
Yeah.
I will say he does stick out with the greenish skin.
Yeah.
I think there's too much green in it.
Yeah.
I think if you were to wash it pretty heavily and then like go with something a little lighter, because right now when I look at him, he kind of looks like the Green Goblin.
Well, fuck me, right?
Yeah. I think the other problem is the green with the red.
Yeah.
Because that's so common for orcs, especially in 40k.
Yeah.
I guess in fantasy too. That's what instantly my mind is taken to. So I think a lot of Warhammer or Games Workshop players might kind of associate that when you see that. So
yeah,
maybe do the purple instead, like you have on the Bone Giant for his robes.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I was gonna say you could even probably just like put like a pale flesh on top of that green, and it would look more fleshy, but then have this green undertone, like he was, started around.
A good idea. Yeah.
You could use the aptly named Pallid Witch Flesh color.
Oh,
Games Workshop's got you covered, man.
Yeah, okay. I'll pop into my local game store today and maybe pick one of those up.
What color do I paint my goblin? Goblin green. Oh, nice.
Easy. Yeah.
What color do I paint my ultramarine? Ultramarine blue. Cool.
All right.
Well, I expect to see bases at one point because
definitely.
Yeah.
Once the new stuff comes out. So. Yeah. I'm
cool.
aware.
Well, we'll actually have to play a game now. I actually left the house last week and I played a game of 40k with Ernie.
Yeah.
I went to a game store in real life with real people in the same room.
How was that?
It was soul nourishing. I did not realize how much I missed it. We had the fucking goofiest game of Combat Patrols. Hilarious. So
nice.
We will have to do the Warhammer very soon.
Very, very soon.
Excellent. Cool. I think I'm next in the list here with some chaos stuff. Yeah, so what I finished the last month was the Chariot. So completely revitalized. Thank you, Brian, for sending it my way. Appreciate it. So gave it a little love. It was on a giant circular base it was on top of two circular bases on top of a giant circular base. It was very weird. There were mold lines and dried glue everywhere. and it was missing the harnesses and the reins that the dude is holding. So I cleaned it all, tore it apart, filed it down, got a chariot base, and then the reins and the harnesses I actually found on eBay for like $4. So thank you, random bit seller on eBay. And we fixed it up. I painted everything separately. So I did I had the harnesses on the horse and the reins were glued to the guy's hand. So I painted the driver, the horses, and the chariot all separately. Went pretty fast, despite how detailed this thing was, but it wasn't like the knights. So yeah, it turned out really well. And then we slapped it all together onto the base. I haven't done the rider guy because, as I said last time, I think he looks kind of dumb with that giant cape. So we might leave this for the game state champion with the 2 axes and maybe use that as like either as a hero on a chariot or just a chariot with a really cool Chaos Warrior. So that's done, and then you can see the group photo here. And I took some extra pictures last night on my sweet my snowboard that I have to kind of fit the theme with a very cool Chaos Temple that I've had since I think the Libertyville days that a friend of mine gave me. Do you remember Eric, Brian, Matt's friend Eric?
I do. Yeah, absolutely.
I think he gave that to me before he moved to Canada.
I think we played a couple games in my house once upon a time.
Oh yeah. Eric was part of the group for a while. So so I've got a nice looking theme there, and there it is. It's probably about 1,100 points, give or take. It's definitely over 1,000 when you throw in the chariot. But yeah, I've done what I've set out to do. I finally have dragon ogres that I've wanted for years. I finally have the Lord on the Juggernaut with a fucking flail, which I just love. The only thing that I'm miffed about is you can see the base size or the movement tray size was wrong for the 1 unit of Chaos Hounds. And then I haven't ordered the second one yet because those guys take so long to send stuff. So I will eventually probably do that, but I need a break from painting snow bases. And I still have the new Chaos Warriors from the Getting Started set, because that's what I bought, and it also comes with like a Lord on some weird demonic mount thing, which I'll probably never use. But I'll probably do the Chaos Warriors at some point, because another squad of Chaos Warriors would be cool. So, but that whole box was cheaper than buying just the Knights by themselves. So I found that on eBay for a really good price, so why not? So yeah, it's done. It's ready to go. And I think this is the type of army that would either destroy stuff in like 2 turns or would just get obliterated by shooting and magic. So I think it's going to be very hit or miss. But I think the Chaos Warriors will be the last thing standing because they'll take forever to get across the board while everything else will rush into combat. So yeah, I'm excited to take them out for a spin and actually play some fantasy. It's been way too long. So I'm happy it's done. Set out what I've accomplished what I set out to do, so pretty stoked about that. And finally, from the land of Bretonnian, Ryan has a shit ton of pictures here to share with us.
Well, yeah, kind of. So I was actually one that was pretty grateful for the fact that you didn't record last time.
Yep.
I hadn't actually finished my Pegasus Knight guy. And he's still technically not finished. I broke his arm off, putting him on the horse, his lance arm that's going to have the banner. So he's not holding his banner yet, but I've got that just about done. I just need to kind of drill it in, basically.
And is that the blister pack lord that goes on a horse normally, the metal one?
Yeah, and that's what when I was trying to get him on, because I did them separately and put him on at the end, and the wing of the Pegasus just snapped the arm, and it just went like immediately, and so it's right kind of at the elbow joint, so it won't be too bad to get it back on, but I'm just gonna finish it up independently and then do the banner and then finish, put it on rather than like put it on and then try and paint on to the, like do it all finished.
Did it break at the actual point that the model connects, or did it like the arm actually like snap in half?
No, yeah, exactly. It snapped in half. So.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
Well,
I wasn't being very subtle. I was just like, you could have fit. You're gonna fit out there, you know. Like,
applying orc logic to building your models.
Yeah. I was like, I think it's fair to say I was in a hurry to get it done. I'm just like, come on, there's no way you don't fit. And actually, well, the thing that was happening is I thought, because there's the saddle in the back, you know, that comes up, and I thought that was the issue. So I'm like trying to like nudge him over the saddle to get him into the spot, and it wasn't. It was just his arm up against the wing.
Oh, okay, I see.
I wasn't even looking at that. I was like looking at the saddle the whole time, and I was just
Gotcha.
like,
Okay.
in there, you know. And I ended up like trimming down the saddle, and I was like, there's all these like, and it was, I just broke his arm.
It wasn't even the part. Yep.
Yeah, typical. But I was really glad to have him done, and I remembered, because when we were talking last time too, I was like, I got 1,000 points. And what I'd forgotten is that included a trebuchet, my 1,000 points list. And I had ordered one off of Etsy and had a similar like experience where, you know, it was like $13 or something like that for a trebuchet. I was like, done, awesome.
Yeah.
And then it's like, you know, then it shows up and it was a mess, you know.
It's
and
like this big.
$13, I'm like, all right, I'll take that one on the chin, you know, my bad. But it was like nothing really fit right, and it was kind of warped. And then like the little guys that, you know, like the crew that came with it, like exactly the same thing, like they were a slightly different scale. They're kind of the same height, but they're skinnier. They, you know what I mean, like they look like they haven't, like, I don't know,
They're malnourished peasants,
but it's like they're the right height but the wrong scale somehow, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And like, you know,
well, if you look at like old Games Workshop, like I think the spearmen for High Elves and Dark Elves, I think, are a great example, right? If you're looking at like the 6th and 7th edition, the fucking High Elf spearman's hand is like as big as his head, right? And like if you look at the model like from a distance, like that's fine. When you start to compare it, right?
Yeah.
And then you look at like some of the newer stuff, like the plastic skeletons for vampire counts, or the Empire State troops, their proportions are more normal, where their hand is like a regular size and not the size of a bowling ball. And when you compare them, it looks really weird.
Well, and that's just the thing too, is like that their ankles were like so delicate, and there's no tab underneath them to like just put them in the base, you know, that type of thing. So it was like this, like, I don't know, it was just a recipe for, and I was like, you know what, screw the trebuchet. And that was why I decided to put the Lord on a Pegasus, because then that boosted the points back up. But then what I did as an insurance policy is I had these cool other independent, they're the Bones line, which I mentioned this way back in episode 1, like how much fun I was having going to like the old game store, Games Plus, and like shaking blisters looking for like the perfect, you know, miniature, like trying to get them to turn around. You could get a turn around so I can see the front. So I had these old damsels basically, where there was like, I had 3 initially counts as damsels basically, and I realized I was kind of looking at them like there's like an old kind of crone, and like the young one that I did at the very beginning with like the very damsely with the coned hat and all that, I don't know what you call that, and then another one that kind of looked Greek. And I kind of had this idea that like the 3 damsels were like that, you know, like the Fates or the Norns or whatever, where they have like the kind of younger one and like middle age, and then like the old hag, you know, that type of thing.
Okay.
So those were going to be my, like, I was going to put 2 or 3 damsels out, and then either, you know, and then I with the Pegasus and then an additional damsel, I basically soaked up the points from the trebuchet. So
wonderful.
I also Dr. Gabe gave me an old damsel on the horse, which I haven't painted yet, but you know, if I take this any further, I would probably get her up there on that horse too. So I have more than 1,000 points. I've got options at this point, which is good.
And then what's in the second set of photos? There's some more archers and a bunch of like characters.
that was a conversation we were having. So that's the other Bretonnian army. My peasants are revolting army with 120, I think, peasants. There's I think 80 or 90 peasant bowmen and another 30.
Oh, and there's a trebuchet in here too.
Yeah, and there's a trebuchet in there. Yeah.
Cool.
So that's so when I'd posted those original ones, I think it was Ben had said like, hey, are those some of the guys I sold you over COVID, you know? And some of them were. So I'd never shown him what I did with the stuff that he sent me. So I was just putting those in there to show him.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So all told now, I have almost We're like at least 180 peasants. If I combined the two
It's like well, that's got to be close to 1,500, 2,000 points of peasants, right?
peasants, yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So maybe someday those will all get on the table. But I kind of think of them as kind of two distinct armies. I never intended to put them both on the table at the same time, but
yeah.
Well,
the banners turned out awesome, man. I mean, it looks great. It's definitely that's a lot of stuff, man.
I'm enjoying now. So like one of the crones, for example, has got that autumn kind of orangish red as her thing,
Mhm.
and then with the leaves on the autumn, like the autumn leaves on the tree that the Pegasus is over,
Yep.
like it kind of, it feels like it all kind of came together. As soon as you said like, oh, red and green is kind of an orcish thing, I was like, oh no, I totally just did like red and green.
Yeah, but yours are more like pastel colors, so they don't.
Yeah, they're kind of softer.
Yeah, it's more of a turquoise. It's just you got to be careful with red and green because you don't want to end up with Christmas-looking models.
Right,
That's
exactly.
I've seen the Christmas orc army one too many times. Like, oh man, that's not great.
But yeah,
Cool.
So it came together in the end, and I actually got to the goal, which is better than the place I was at last time. I was like, I didn't quite get there, so I was happy that you didn't hit record ultimately.
Wonderful. Cool. Well, we've actually got a little bit of a bonus in here too, folks. So I want to give a shout out to one of our listeners who's been watching the show, listening to the show, by the name of Tobias, all the way from Sweden. Another of our northernly friends who been chatting with the last maybe 2 weeks or so. And Tobias said that he was inspired by our little journey here, and he's busted out some of his old orcs and goblins and started painting. So I shared a bunch of his pictures that he sent our way. He's got a Mordheim warband in here of orcs and goblins, and then just a variety of painted stuff, which actually looks quite nice. We've got some old school orc warriors in a regiment. We've got a boss on a boar, and then you can see the ones on the round bases are his Mordheim band, which, worth noting, they never made a specific orc warband for Mordheim. It was one of the extra warbands they added on later on, so it was one that you had to convert. You have a mix of like there was some squigs, goblins, orcs, and you can see he's got orcs running around with Empire crossbows, which are pretty cool that they've looted. And then we've got a couple bosses on foot with the two-handed axe. He's got a 40k model in there too as well.
Is that some conversion work with I can't really tell. There's the one boss that's got like a two-handed axe, but he's actually got it in one hand, and there's like a chain coming off it. And I think he's holding a head in the other. That looked like it converted a little bit, I think.
Which set of? There's 3 sets of images here. Which one are we talking about?
So it's a boss. He's got big tusks coming out the front, and he's holding like a head in one hand and then like a double-handed axe in the other. And it looks
next
like
to a boar.
And he's got a boar on one side and then a banner on the other.
So that head is the orc special character Vareg Ghoul-Chewer from Blood Bowl, which is an awesome use because I've never seen really anybody convert Blood Bowl models that much, especially not that model. I believe the axe with the chain is from the plastic orc war boss. I think he's got 2 different pieces of weapons there that he chopped and added.
I really dig the way that looks. I like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure where the head with the hand with the head is from. I'm not sure.
I love it.
But yeah, he's got a bunch of different like converted characters there.
That guy really jumped out for me.
Oh yeah, and then you can see he's got a massive horde of night goblins. What is that? 2, 4, 6, 8, 32, I think. 32 night goblins. Massive squad of squigs. Squigs are awesome in fantasy, by the way. Squigs and squig hoppers especially. Everyone's favorite, orc error boys, because if they're in your list, you've made a grave error. We've got some, looks like rock labas, chariot, spider riders, and then he's got a few things that are unpainted, but there's more painted than not. And then the whole horde there on the kitchen table, most of it is painted other than it looks like the trolls. And then he's got a couple lines of infantry. Those single ranks are some of the stuff he's just finished while we've been talking, so he is cruising along. But Yeah, to have that many painted greenskins is no difficult or no easy feat. And it looks like he saved the best for last. The Black Orc still needs some love, but that should be way easier than painting regular greenskins. So yeah, well done, Tobias. It's been a pleasure chatting with you, man, and I'm glad we inspired you because that was one of the goals of this. So if we've inspired even one person to paint their army, and since it's orcs and goblins, we'll count it as two armies. Then we've accomplished one of the things we've set out to do here. So maybe we can play a game on Tabletop Simulator someday. Cause as much as I'd love to come to Sweden, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. But who knows? If you're ever in the States, let us know. So there you have it, folks. We have finished. That is it. Warhammer Fantasy has come to an end for now, and I'm kind of glad because there's too much going on. So I hope you've all enjoyed this. I hope this has inspired you or encouraged you to bust out some models, whether it's fantasy or even if it's not a Games Workshop game. Just get out there and put some paint on those figs. And hopefully bust out some armies and play some games and get ready for some old world because we are all hyped for that. So if you want more hobby goodness, be sure you check out our Tale of Five Gamers for 40K. We're doing some 10th edition stuff there and more hobby goodness as well. We got some other new faces and some returning faces. So and other than that, be sure to check out the podcast too. We got tons and tons of games. We got some Halloween specials coming up as well. Probably be Halloween by the time this episode airs. So yeah, we got tons and tons in store, and I'm sure we'll be back to the table soon. As I said, I played a game of 40K with our buddy Ernie, who's in our Tale of Five Gamers, and we've been talking about adding some video content for some tabletop gaming. So Ernie is looking into what we need to do to make that happen. We're going to experiment next week when we play some more Combat Patrol and start messing around with maybe editing and things. So maybe finally sometime next year we'll get some tabletop stuff on here. So not sure yet. I want to do battle reports, but those are a lot of work to do. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I hope everyone's enjoyed. Again, I hope we've encouraged you to paint some more and get some games in. So anything else anybody else wants to share before we sign off here?
No, just to say well done, everybody.
Yeah.
It's been fun, guys.
Thank you all for playing along and sticking with it. It's been a cool journey. Really enjoyed it. All right, well, we will see you all same time, same place with whatever we have next down the pipeline. Nighty night. Hello, listeners. Great Unclean One here. I just wanted to thank you for taking your time to watch this video. For more content like this, why not hit those like and subscribe buttons? And if you're a fan of role-playing games, then be sure to check out one of our actual play series. We've got campaigns of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, Alien the Role-Playing Game, and Warhammer 40,000 Wrath and Glory, with plenty more to come. Finally, a huge thank you to all of our Patreon members. Your support means the world to us, and you help push the channel to even greater heights. We simply could not do this without all of you. And if you'd like to help support the channel yourself, even more than a like or subscribe, consider joining our Patreon and get yourself some cool rewards. Link in the description below. Thanks again, and we will see you in the next one. Same time, same place. Nighty night.